We now have all of the skills we'll need to tackle our third mini project. For this project, we'll be creating some computational art using audio. For this mini project, we'll be creating a visual representation for the loudness of a piece of audio. We see visuals like this often accompanying audio, though the specifics of why and what they look like often varies. Your goal is to create a function to make your own visual representation for a piece of audio. This could be a singular moving bar like in this example video.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Or something more complex or using different shapes. The specifics are up to you, though our solution will show you how to code this example and one other approach for a more complex graphic, still using rectangles. The basic steps for completing this project are getting some kind of audio for creating and testing our function, finding the audio levels for our test audio, and standardizing those values so our function will work for any audio file with any range of levels. After we've gotten our levels, we want to use those values to create the visuals we'll have. Then we can combine together that visual with our original audio using video objects in Wolfram. And then we'll finish up our project by reorganizing our code to work as one function, taking in an audio object. I'm now going to cover our solution for this mini project. As we've mentioned in other parts of the course, there may be differences between how you approach this project and how we approach it in our solution. However, the core steps, structure, and thought process should be similar between your solution and ours. For our first step, we've got a few options to get some test audio. You could use audio capture to record a piece of audio from your computer's microphone. You could also use import if you have an audio file already on your computer you'd like to use. Or you could use example data to get a piece of audio to work with. We'll be using this piece of example data to go through the solution. If you're creating or choosing another audio to use for this project, I would recommend a piece of audio with one audio source. For example, audio of one person speaking will be a lot easier to use and get a clean visual for than, say, a song with many different instruments or singers. Our second step is to get some kind of value representing how loud a piece of audio is throughout the audio. We can use audio local measurements to get values for a few different ways of measuring audio. In this instance, we'll use RMS amplitude, which is a way of measuring loudness. We use audio local measurements on our audio, with our second argument being the measurement we're looking at. After we use audio local measurements, we'll get back a time series object. Since we're going to be putting this into a graphics and we want the raw numbers to do that, we can use the property values to get just the RMS amplitude values from that time series. Our goal is still a function, not something that just works for our test audio. To make our code not create weird outputs for audio that is a lot quieter or a lot louder than our test audio, we want to somehow scale or normalize our values. To make that a little easier on us, we're going to assume all of our audio has a similar minimum value that's around 0. This means we can scale everything by the maximum loudness. To find the max, we can use the function max, which will give the maximum value from a list. Since we've got our loudness values now, we can create the visuals. For our use case, we're going to create the individual graphics for each loudness value, and then we can combine them into one video. This is the step where you can get creative and decide how you think things should look. Regardless of the design, we're going to want to have a graphics object, with some part being that loudness value, and then iterate that graphics for all of the loudness values. To get that basic example I showed in the intro, we can create a rectangle for each loudness value, where the height of the rectangle is the loudness value. We can make that a pure anonymous function, so we can then map that graphics construct across the whole list of values. The second piece of code here is an example of how to create a more complex graphic with side rectangles that also bounce with the loudness of the audio, though less dramatically than a center rectangle. We can see, though, that both approaches have the same basic structure. Graphics, with the shapes inside having some parameter changing to indicate loudness, and that graphics being iterated for each loudness value. Lastly, we want to package together our graphics and audio into one video. We can create a video from our frames we made in the last step using slideshow video. Our first argument is our frames. To make sure our slideshow video is the same length as our audio, we can use the option default duration and set the default duration to be the same as the duration of our audio file. Once we have the slideshow video, we can use video combine to combine together our slideshow video and our audio file into one video output. We've got all the code, now we just need to turn it into a function. We could string this all together into one line of code, but that might get kind of hard to parse. Since we've already gotten our code broken down into these easy to understand steps, we can help both ourselves and anyone wanting to use and understand our function in the future by using module to create a local environment. Once we do this, we can use localized variables to keep our code structure pretty much exactly the same, but instead of saving our intermediate steps to global variables, we'll have them just save locally. After we set up our module, we then just need to save that module to a function that takes in an audio object as an input. And with that, we have a function to create a fun little visual for any audio file we have. With the completion of this mini project, you should now have a grasp on how to use all of these functions in an actual application. This is our final truly mini project, as we'll be moving on to creating more complex code for our final game projects at the end of this course.